The Mongol Invasion, starring the talents of Lily Glasser, Solana Chatfield, Audrey Filiot, and Malli Mooney.
Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan had a significant impact in starting up the Mongolian Empire. He was born into the nomadic Yakka Mongols where his father was the chieftain. After constant fights with neighboring clans, his father was brutally murdered, naming Genghis Khan the new chieftain at the age of 13. Many other members of the clan doubted his skills as a chieftain, and for several years challenged his leadership. It wasn't until many years later, when he led his clan to the conquest of Mongolia, that they took him seriously and gave him the respect he rightfully deserved. Genghis Khan was born with the name Temujin and kept that name until he completed the conquest of Mongolia. Once he gained the respect from his clan members, he assumed the title Genghis Khan, which means world-encompassing or emperor of all men. At the time, Mongolia was a huge achievement, but it was only just the start to the largest empire in ancient history.
The rise of the empire began with the unification of the Mongol and Turkic tribes. While in service of Trollkil, Genghis Khan had many talents that allowed him to become a major leader to Mongol tribes. He unified the tribes of Mongolia by 1206 into a single Serpa tribe known as the Kamog Mongol Ulis, and then was able to conquer all of Mongolia. After the example set by Genghis Khan, future military leaders were able to continue to conquer more and more land. Next, the Mongols conquered the Jin Empire of northern China in 1215 and slowly moved their way down into central China. By 1219, the Mongols occupied all of China north of the Yangtze River. By 1237, Batu Khan destroyed and conquered every city in Kiev in Russia and occupied Georgia and Armenia, as well as invaded Hungary, Poland, Bulgaria, and Croatia. The Mongols were then able to invade the Abbasid Caliphate and capture Baghdad. Lastly, the Mongols invaded Syria and completed their conquest of China.
Khanate of the Golden Horde. In the 13th century, the Mongol horde split up into multiple hordes, and each one was ruled by one of Genghis's deputies or sons. One of the hordes was the Golden Horde, and it was under the order of Jochi, who was Genghis's eldest son. It was soon passed on to Jochi's son, Batu Khan. Batu was the first official Mongol leader of the Golden Horde, and he was the reason of the expansion of the Golden Horde. He captured Moscow and Ryazan. The Golden Horde stretched to northern Moscow, east of Belarus and Ukraine, and south into Kazakhstan at its largest. Military strategies. Genghis Khan had a magnificent impact on the military. One of the main reasons of why the Mongol Empire expanded so much was because of the army. He based his army on the decimal system, and this caused the soldiers to be very disciplined and well-behaved. Genghis's army had a different way of fighting compared to other armies during that time. The tactics that they used were very similar to how armies today fight. Genghis's army fought with total war style. Total war means that there are no rules. Soldiers just fight until they win at doing whatever they have to do. Many tricks were involved in deceiving. One strategy that helped take over the Khwarezmian Empire was spreading out the army throughout the empire. This plan kept the different parts of the empire protected. Effects of Mongol Empire on Russian lifestyle. Mongol rule affected all the lives of the conquered people, but no other country was as greatly impacted as Russia. Mongolian rule affected the Russians in three aspects: religious tolerance, art, and language. The Mongols allowed the Russians to follow their own religion and didn't persecute like other empires did. While under Mongol rule, the Mongols introduced the Russians to iconography, fresco-style painting, which is still widely popular in Russia to this day. Iconography is the study of symbols and/or images in art, and fresco is a watercolor type painting. In language, the Russians began using words made up by the Mongols and also picked up on the language used for military, trade, and administration. They adopted many words used by the Mongols. Overall, the Mongols had an impact on everyone they conquered, but had the biggest impact on the Russians.
Fall of the Empire. The Battle of Kulikovo is recognized as the beginning of the fall of the Mongol Empire. This battle was the largest battle ever fought during the Middle Ages and included more than 100,000 participants. It took place on the Kulikovo field or plain. Initially, the Mongol armies gained the advantage by using cavalry in addition to foot soldiers to force the Russians to retreat. The outcome was altered, however, when the Mongols attempted to outmaneuver the Russians by sneaking around and behind them. This was when the Russians executed an ambush of their own by sending fresh troops into Mongol territory and attacked, forcing the Mongol troops to retreat before dusk. Though Mongol rule would be restored, this Russian victory served as a national wake-up call and stimulant to the emergence of the Russian state. The victory provided encouragement, but most importantly proved that the Mongol army was not indeed indomitable. The city of Moscow grew and became wealthier, while the Golden Horde itself became weaker. In 1480, Ivan III, the Grand Prince of Moscow, created alliances with neighboring leaders before disrespecting and refusing to pay tribute to Mongol overlords. This defiance led to the confrontation at the Ugra River, at which both the Russian and the Mongol armies met and retreated without combat. Ivan III called for Russians to retreat out of what is speculated to have been fear or perhaps a move of strategy, one he was highly criticized for, while the Mongols retreated to protect their capital. This non-battle abolished Mongol hold over Moscow, and the Golden Horde was broken into several smaller khanates, the last of which fell in 1502.
Conclusion. Overall, the Mongolian Empire was a huge part of ancient history and left a lasting impression on the many countries it conquered. Many later empires copied the example set by the Mongols, from military strategies to how they treated the conquered. We hope you enjoyed our presentation. Thank you for watching.